A powerful earthquake has struck Indonesia. At least 5 people have been killed. The earthquake had a magnitude of 7.7. It struck early on Saturday morning, shortly before 5 o'clock local time, and many people were still asleep when the ground began to shake. The earthquake struck off the coast of the Indonesian island of Flores. The shaking was extremely strong. Buildings were damaged. People ran from their homes, and a tsunami warning was issued. For several hours, people living near the coast feared that an even bigger disaster could follow. The governor of East Nusa Tenggara province, Emmanuel Melquiades Lacalena, said 5 people were killed by falling rubble while they were asleep. But the final number of victims is not yet known. Search and rescue teams are still working. They are searching damaged buildings. They are looking for people who may still be trapped. And authorities are trying to understand the full scale of the destruction. The earthquake happened at about 5 o'clock in the morning. It was a relatively shallow earthquake. Its depth was about 15 kilometers. That is important because shallow earthquakes can produce very strong shaking close to the Earth's surface. The earthquake happened in the sea. The affected area is remote. It is also mountainous. These conditions can make rescue operations more difficult. Roads may be damaged. Some communities may be difficult to reach, and emergency workers may need more time to reach people who need help. The first earthquake was already extremely powerful, but it was followed by dozens of aftershocks. One of the strongest aftershocks had a magnitude of 6.1. An aftershock is another earthquake that happens after the main earthquake. Sometimes aftershocks continue for hours. They can also continue for days or even longer, and they can be dangerous. A building may survive the first earthquake but become badly weakened. Another strong aftershock can then make that building collapse. That is why Indonesian authorities are warning people not to enter damaged buildings. People have been told to stay away from buildings with cracks. They have also been told to avoid buildings with other signs of structural damage. There was another major danger after the earthquake: a tsunami. Because the earthquake happened offshore, authorities issued a tsunami warning. People living near the coast were told to move away from the sea. Many people immediately started moving inland. Some people went towards higher ground. Others gathered on roads and in safer areas. The tsunami warning was lifted about 3 hours after the earthquake. But those 3 hours were extremely frightening for people living along the coast. One resident, Arnold Welianto, described what happened. He lives in Talabura village in Sika, in East Nusa Tenggara. He was asleep when the earthquake began. He said the shaking was very strong. It suddenly woke him up. His first thought was about his child. He immediately went to his child's room. He wanted to make sure the child was safe. Then they went outside. But when they reached the street, many other residents were already fleeing. People who lived close to the shoreline were moving towards the hills. The roads became crowded. People were trying to get away from the coast. Then they noticed something else. The sea had moved back. The water level had become unusually low. That frightened people even more. Many residents panicked. They ran away from the shoreline. Welianto said he went towards a community health center, but the people there had already been evacuated. The entire area was responding to the warning. People were trying to protect themselves and their families. Even after the tsunami warning was lifted, many residents did not feel safe going back inside their homes. The aftershocks were continuing. People were afraid that damaged buildings could collapse, so they stayed outside. For many families, remaining outdoors is frightening. But after a major earthquake, people may feel safer outside than inside a damaged building. Some may stay in cars. Some may sleep under temporary shelters. Others may simply remain in open areas with their neighbors. The priority is safety. One of the places badly affected was the Lorens Say Port in Maumere. Video from the port shows how powerful the earthquake was. Large pieces of concrete broke away from the terminal building. They fell onto an area where passengers were waiting to board an inter-island ferry. The situation quickly became chaotic. People were trying to escape. And then another dangerous event happened. The gangway, connecting the port to the ship, collapsed. Some people were thrown into the sea. The images show how quickly an ordinary morning can become an emergency. People who had simply been waiting for a ferry suddenly had to think about survival. The earthquake also affected communities farther inland. About 2,000 residents in Nagekeo were evacuated. Damage was reported to a number of buildings. Evacuation is an important part of disaster response. People may have to leave their homes very quickly. They may not know when they can safely return, and they may not know what condition their homes are in. Authorities, therefore, have to provide safe places for people to stay. They also have to inspect buildings. They have to check roads. They have to check hospitals. And they have to make sure emergency workers can reach affected communities. Indonesia is one of the world's most earthquake-prone countries. It is located in a region where several tectonic plates meet. This area is often called the Ring of Fire. Earthquakes are common there. Volcanic eruptions are also common. But every earthquake is different. The location matters, the depth matters, the strength matters, and the quality of buildings matters. In this case, the earthquake was very strong. It was also relatively shallow, and it struck near an island region with many coastal communities. Some of the affected areas are remote and mountainous. That can make rescue work harder. Emergency workers may have to travel long distances. They may have to work on damaged roads. They may have to search through collapsed buildings. And they have to remain prepared for more aftershocks. Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency is known as BNPB. The agency has urged people to remain calm, but it has also warned people to stay away from coastal areas when necessary. It has told residents not to enter damaged buildings, especially buildings with cracks. This warning is important. A building may look safe from the outside, but its internal structure may have been weakened. Walls may have moved, columns may have cracked, and parts of the building may collapse later. So residents are being asked to wait for safety checks before returning home. Search and rescue teams are now working to find people who may still be trapped. Their first priority is saving lives. Rescuers search through rubble. They listen for sounds. They look for signs of movement. And they carefully remove broken concrete and other debris. But earthquake rescue work can be extremely dangerous. Workers may be standing near unstable buildings. Aftershocks can happen without warning, and damaged roads can make it difficult to bring heavy rescue equipment into the affected areas. The authorities say a rapid assessment is underway. They are trying to determine how many people have been affected. They are also trying to understand the full extent of the damage. But officials have warned that this will take time. The number of confirmed deaths is currently at least 5. But that number could change. After a major earthquake, information does not arrive immediately from every community. Some areas may be cut off. Telephone networks may be damaged. Roads may be blocked. And rescue workers may not yet have reached every location. So the first figures are often incomplete. Authorities need to check the information carefully. They need to confirm the number of victims. And they need to understand where the greatest damage has occurred. That is why officials are asking people to remain patient. For people living near the coast, the earthquake created another major fear. The fear of a tsunami. The warning was eventually lifted, but the experience was terrifying. Imagine waking up before sunrise. Your house suddenly begins to shake. You hear things falling. You rush to find your child. Then you run outside. You see other families moving towards the hills. The roads become crowded, and then you look towards the sea. The water appears to have moved away from the shore. You do not know what will happen next. That was the experience of many people in the affected area. Across Flores and the surrounding areas, people are now dealing with the aftermath. Some have lost family members. Some have lost their homes. Others are sleeping outside because they are afraid to return indoors. And many people are still waiting for news about relatives. The earthquake happened very early in the morning. That made it especially dangerous. Many people were still asleep, some were inside their homes, others were preparing for the day. And at the port, passengers were waiting for ferries. Within seconds, everything changed. The immediate task is rescue. Then comes recovery. Damaged buildings will have to be inspected. Some may need to be repaired. Others may have to be demolished. Roads may need to be cleared. Hospitals may need additional support. And families who have lost their homes will need shelter. The government and disaster agencies will also have to assess the damage. They need accurate information. They need to know where help is needed most. And they need to make sure emergency supplies reach the communities that need them. The earthquake lasted only a short time, but its effects can last for months. They can even last for years. At least 5 people have lost their lives. Many more have been injured or affected. Thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes. Buildings have been damaged, and people are still living with the fear of aftershocks. For the residents of Flores, this was a terrifying start to the day. For the families of those who died, it is a tragedy that will never be forgotten. And for the rescue teams, the work is only beginning. They will continue searching. They will continue helping survivors. And they will continue checking damaged buildings. Indonesia has faced major earthquakes before, but every disaster brings its own challenges. For now, the message from the authorities is clear. Stay calm, stay away from damaged buildings, stay alert for aftershocks, and follow official instructions. The tsunami warning has been lifted, but the rescue and recovery operation continues. And across the island of Flores, people are now beginning the difficult task of rebuilding their lives after one of the strongest earthquakes to hit the region in recent years.